if I may ask you a question, a follow-up question on that, Sister Jonana, that black woman, I suspect it's the same one I interviewed by the name of Chloe Valderi. And she is only 21 years old, and some NGOs even paid to fly her to Israel, and they have trained this young black woman very well. And she doesn't even identify with black people. She says she's a black woman, but she says she grew up identifying with Jews, with the Ashkenazi Jews. So, but she is being paid, we call it proxy racism, where the racist will get a person of color to be their mouthpiece or to do their dirty work for them. And in this case, is to convince people. But my question to you is because I've been noticing that myself and some of my friends, we get attacked whenever we share information about the genocide that's going on against the Palestinian people. And one of those attacks is that Arabs have enslaved people back in whatever century. So what do you say to somebody when they criticize you for, sharing information and spreading awareness that indeed genocide is being committed? And then even if you point out that black people are Palestinians as well, they have lived there, before Israel was created as a nation, they still don't even care about those black people. So how do you respond to somebody that looks at the Arab so-called enslavement of the African and tell you that you shouldn't care about these Palestinians because they, it's good when Jews and Arabs are killing each other? What do you say to something like that?
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes. Let me say this. The myth of the so-called Arab slave trade as opposed to the European slave trade, it's something that we have to begin to, like you said, we have to educate our people to understand that there's no relationship between the masses of people who are not, you cannot indict the entire Arab people for so-called Arab slave trade that was conducted by a class structure that people who are enriched. This is not a indictment, even though and some people try to even talk about the African slave trade in terms of Africans. You cannot indict a people from what a small ruling class of people may have done in terms of, if we go back to history. But the Arab slave trade is a great myth in terms of just talking about the Arabs, because there were other people. All the people in the Middle East are not Arab. But it was part of an empire type of situation in which you had Turks and you had all kinds of other people who are not Arabs. And so we got to begin to get our people to be more sophisticated about understanding what the formulation of slave trade. Just like we should not talk about all Europeans in terms of the slave trade. We can only talk about in terms of benefits of the masses of people, maybe. But if we talk about that this is what we have to educate our people to understand, because they would create all kinds of division in our community to justify what is going on at this time. But this is a present moment. In the present moment where we are looking at oppressed people in the world who have been aligned with one another in the struggle against what is called modern imperialism, European, Western imperialism. And once we get people to understand that, we can separate that whole notion, because it is a prejudice in our community, talking about the Arabs in our community. And so we got to begin to understand that these people do not represent the Palestinian people or any other Arab people. These are people who are part of the imperialist system, who have always been a part of it and still remain a part of the imperialist system today.
All right. One of the things, Scotty, that's happening is, and as the brother alluded to it, I'm going to carry it a little further. Because of the crisis of this system, and because of the contradictions it's creating, for instance, they try to make all black people hate all of the the Mexicans that are immigrants because they say they're taking jobs from black people, or they tell them something else. The reality is this: the people who have been exploiting us for 400 or 500 years are the same people who have been exploiting us. They may use different spokespersons. Maybe a spokesperson is black like Obama, but the function of the state and the function of this economy and the function of this system remains the same. And we need to get beyond this idea. Just like many black people won't attack Obama, won't criticize him, even if he's starving them to death, even if he's got their relatives in prison, even if he's allowing police forces to shoot and kill black people in the streets. And the federal government does nothing about it. They claim they have civil rights laws and all this stuff. They never use them for us. Even with all of this, we got to be able to make black people have a more sophisticated understanding of these political problems than just what's on the surface. And so the idea, well, all the Arabs, these Arabs enslaved us and so forth and so on, and so therefore now all Arabic people or all people in the Middle East are enemies of ours, and said and the other. It's a reflection of a really backward black nationalism that exists right now. We got that's why I made an allusion to this kind of backward black nationalism that tells you should run for office and hold a seat in the white government. And somehow you're going to be different from Obama because you call yourself a citizen of a mythical government or something, or the so-called black government, or some felonious movement. We need to understand that that it's important for us to have a critical analysis of really who's doing the oppression, why they're doing it, and what we can do about it. We're coming up on the last stages of the show. We'll go over a few minutes, and that's okay. I hope it's okay, Scotty.
Take as much time as you need.
Okay. It won't be long. But I guess that what I'm trying to get to for us is that what we're doing right now, I know we say we need to build this and we need to build that, so on and so on. But we're doing that. We're starting the process now, because this show, which is an alternative radical news program, designed, however many black people or peoples of color or radicals or whoever's listening to this, to try to give them some thinking and some politics and analysis that they don't hear anywhere else, and that can maybe take them to a different place. Now, it isn't always easy to come to independent conclusions for yourself. But we have to challenge people, especially challenge people in our community, but challenge people on the left, challenge all these people. Rethink. We're in a different place in history. This is not 1917. We need to go beyond just where we are right now, what our thinking has been in the earlier stages. We understand that there's a continuity involved, but the reality is we're at a different place right now. The world is different. Even the capitalist economy is different. People talk about the workers this and the workers that. Well, here's one news flash. The last time we were on here we were talking about the death of industrial capitalism. And to most extent, that is true. I mean, the old form of industrial capitalism doesn't even exist anymore. Now, I'm not saying that there's no industry at all, but I'm saying that it is now in another part of the world. It ain't in America. So, all these things you have to factor into the analysis as well. Anyway.